after this break.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Hi, Michael Bissonette, founder, Voice Power Technology. You've probably heard my commercials by now about our new VCR voice programmer, but here's some news you haven't heard. Our voice programmer has 3 major breakthroughs to simplify your life. First, it allows you to program your VCR by voice. Want to record a movie Sunday 9 p.m.? Just say, record channel 2, Sunday 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., and that's it. Programming your VCR is just that simple. Second, it acts as a universal remote control. This means it can operate most any TV, VCR, and cable box. You no longer need your 3 separate remote controls cluttering up the table. This one voice remote will now control all your equipment. But wait till you hear this. Our voice remote even allows you to zap past commercials from your tape programs. All you do is say zap it and no more commercials. Call us now for free information on this breakthrough product. Call 1-800-795-9600. 1-800-795-9600.
Wednesday, May 26th is the last day of operations for Bobby Denning Furniture's Goldsboro store. And the last day you'll have the chance to take advantage of rock-bottom liquidation prices on famous name brand merchandise. Bobby Denning Furniture of Goldsboro has lost their lease and must sell their present inventory at whatever price it takes to move it. Save on ranges, $225, living room suits, $597, automatic washers, $238, console TV with remote, $387, solid wood bedroom suits, $496, dryers, $188, stereos, $88, 4-drawer chest, $29. Everything's got to go at whatever price it takes to move it. And if you don't like our prices, make an offer, because cash talks. All sales are final. Merchandise must be removed within 24 hours of purchase. Financing program available, 90 days, same as cash, and no money down. Don't forget, Wednesday, May 26th is the last day for Bobby Denning Furniture's complete liquidation sale of the Goldsboro store. Don't miss it. Take advantage of these savings now at Bobby Denning Furniture of Goldsboro.
If you're too busy hauling the kids, doing your job, or running errands to cook, drive through and take it out at McCall's. Try our McCall's Super Family Pack. 1 pound of barbecue, 1 whole fried chicken, a pint of potatoes and pint of slaw for $12.05. Get the McCall's Special. A half a pound of barbecue, 4 pieces of fried chicken, a half a pint of potatoes, and a half a pint of slaw for $6.05. Or get a whole fried chicken for $4.99. Take it out at McCall's, where just one taste is all it takes. McCall's, Goldsboro, and Mount Olive.
Kleiners in the Wayne Plaza has spring and summer ladies' fashions ready for your selection. Sportswear by Joyce, Tan J, Don Kenny, and others. Dresses including brands by Andrea Gale, H.L. Miller, and Leslie Faye, and a whole lot more. Swimsuits by DeWeese, windsuits by Casual Isle. Spring and summer fashions and accessories, as well as shoes and handbags, ready for you at Kleiners in the Wayne Plaza, 1800 block of East Ash Street, Goldsboro. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Now, more of the Rush Limbaugh Show on 1150 WGBR.
And back to Los Angeles and Mark, talking the mayoral race there. You left off with Reardon's in-home AIDS care. Oops, hang on just a second. There we go.
Record.
There you. Hang on. I didn't have you punched in. Start again.
Oh, well, if you look down this man's record of all the businesses that he's done, yes, Total Pharmaceutical Care, which, as I said, provides health care in people's homes for AIDS patients and people that can't get out. I think this is sort of like a Bill Clinton issue. And he has a company called Tetra Tech, an environmental cleanup company. A 24-hour restaurant that's open all the time, a dairy. I mean, these are all like Bill Clinton's targeted businesses, and they're attacking him for being successful at them.
Well, but are they really doing that? I mean, they are. I mean, when they try to link him to Reagan and being an evil businessman, but worse than that. I mean, I think that that can be dealt with. Worse than that is what you mentioned at the beginning of the call. That is this continuing effort to label a man a racist. Or some other kind of having some other kind of ethnic prejudice simply because he is a conservative, simply because he is a businessman, and simply because he's a white guy. How's he dealing with that? Is he reacting to that or trying to refute any of that? Or just...
Well, when people ask him about the race, how is he going to bring the race together? He says everywhere he goes, the issue is the same, and that's safety, no matter what the race is of people. And if you look around, he's built the Paradise Market in South Central Los Angeles after the riots, which is still going. And in East LA with the Latino community, he's revitalized boys and girls clubs with his own money and built these learning centers to teach people English. But the message is really hard to get out because the media, especially the LA Times here, is just, playing into the same game that they played with Clinton.
That's right. I know. That's the whole point. That's why it's so frustrating to hear the 80s constantly rewritten. But I'm glad you called, Mark. That was great. Back with more in a moment.
It's not the percentage off you get on the merchandise you buy, it's what you pay that counts. Monk's Furniture has revolutionized the way you buy furniture. Low, deeply discounted furniture on sale every day. Salespeople authorized to give on-the-spot discounts. A great selection of name brand furniture in Monk's 22,000 square foot showroom, and a low-key, no-pressure approach to doing business. Monk's calls it shopping the warehouse way. You'll call it a great deal. There's a difference in furniture stores. Monk's Furniture, Highway 70, LaGrange.
Monk's has everything you expect from your furniture store.
The annual spring sale at Scott Motor Company has been so successful it's been extended to May 22nd with rebates up to $2,000 on selected cars. Low finance rates available. Just received a brand new shipment of brand new cars. That means the car you're going to buy is in stock. How about a 93 Grand Am SE, just $12,686.44 tax and tags extra dealer retained rebate. Call Scott Motor Company 736-3401 or toll free 1-800-951-SCOTT. Selling and servicing fine motor cars since 1922. Scott Motor Company, Highway 70 bypass East, Goldsboro.
Well, we'll have all...
From ABC News, I'm Gary Nunn. Some senators, both Republicans and Democrats, have drawn up a plan to trim the energy tax and a few other taxes from the president's deficit reduction plan, replacing them with extra spending cuts in Medicare and other benefit programs. Missouri Republican John Danforth says taxes must be raised, but not as much as the president wants.
I wish there was some popular answer to the problem of the economy. I really wish there was some painless solution. There is no painless solution.
The proposal by Danforth and Democrat David Boren, plus two colleagues, want to reshape the president's $500 billion budget-cutting plan. President Clinton's reaction to the proposal?
My first reaction was that it was a huge shift in lowering taxes on people with incomes above $100,000 and hurting people, both elderly people and working people, just barely above the poverty line.
The president has signed into law what's become known as the Motor Voter Law, designed to make it easier for folks to sign up to vote. ABC's Ann Compton reports from the White House.
All that was missing from the White House celebration was MTV-style rock music as President Clinton signed the motor voter bill. Clearly, the White House hopes the easy new process to register to vote will add tens of thousands of young pro-Clinton voters to the rolls, many of them prompted to register when they apply for a driver's license. The new rules would also reach other citizens through federal offices where benefits are dispensed. Ann Compton, ABC News, the White House.
Gawkers have been staring overtime on Colorado's western slope. Attractions are the rivers, which are bleeding out of their banks these days. Authorities in several counties say they're shooing people off bridges and riverbanks along the Colorado and Gunnison, where they're causing traffic jams or in danger of falling into rivers swollen by a record snowpack. More people standing in unemployment lines, number filing first-time claims for jobless benefits up last week. You're listening to ABC News.
Sonia, why are you jumping on the bed?
I've been to Sears supersized mattress event.
Really?
Yeah, great prices on Sealy and Spring Air Queen and King mattresses. This Spring Air Dreamer queen size set is just $199.99.
Under $200 for a queen-size set? Let's get to Sears.
Okay.
Nice dismount.
Thanks.
Get great buys on mattresses through Memorial Day at Sears Home Life Furniture and most Sears stores.
You can count on me, Sears, Roebuck and Company.
I'm Diane Sawyer. Tonight on Prime Time. If you're a woman or there's a woman you care about, this is a prime time you won't want to miss. Protecting yourself from breast cancer.
This sounds harsh, and I don't mean it that way, but I mean to make the point. The biggest risk factor for breast cancer is being a woman.
Is radiation dangerous? What should you always ask your doctor? What about men getting breast cancer? Our audience and you get answers from the experts.
As a woman, you are at risk, and that's enough to make you do the right things.
Join us for Prime Time tonight.
Journalist Winston Burdett has died at his home in Rome. He had been ill for several years. The cause of death has not been disclosed. Winston Burdett was 79. He worked for CBS during most of his career. Texaco and Barry Davis of Portland, Oregon are in a tug-of-war. The company has told Davis it'll cancel the leases that he holds on 3 gasoline stations because he closes from sundown Friday to sundown Saturday to observe what he considers to be the biblical Sabbath.
My customers, they said, yeah, it was inconvenient, but we adjusted and we've changed our buying patterns, so we buy during the week now rather than on the weekend, so it's no big thing.
Texaco has given notice it'll terminate Davis's leases in 2 weeks. A court hearing on the merits of notification scheduled. Davis, who has run the 3 stations for years, says he decided to honor the Sabbath this year to repay the Lord for his many blessings.
I've been getting support from the Jewish community, Seventh-day Adventists, the Presbyterians, everybody, because this is going to affect all religious beliefs.
Texaco says the new hours are costing the company profits and customers. Members of the California Assembly debated and wrangled for hours last night before sending the Senate a new budget, a plan that contains no money and no spending power. Assembly Speaker Willie Brown says this is a dress rehearsal for the final budget action, a vehicle for getting the budget to conference committee, which will draw up the final spending plan. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial is now down 1.43 at 34.98. This is ABC News.
Hey, it's impossible to tell you everything that's on sale now through May 31st at Ace Hardware's really big sale. But to give you an idea, they've got 9-ounce WD-40, only 99 cents. And Ever-Ready floating lantern, just $3.99. Ace 48-inch fluorescent tubes, just 79 cents each. And a Windmere 7-inch oscillating fan for only $7.77. Then there's paper towels, caulk, trash bags, paint, grills, and lots more. I told you it was big. Ace Hardware's really big sale at your participating independent Ace Hardware stores while supplies last.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Gary Nunn.
WGBR, Goldsboro's very own.
Well, northwesterly winds will continue to blow autumn-like air into the region. We'll have more clouds than sun on tap for this afternoon. Temperatures only in the upper 60s in the cooler northern areas along the Virginia border like Roxborough and Henderson. Mid-70s further south at Clinton and Lumberton. Tonight, partly cloudy and cool, lows 48 to 52. Tomorrow, sunshine in the morning, variably cloudy skies in the afternoon. We can't rule out a brief shower tomorrow afternoon with highs only 65 to 70. I'm Brian Orzel in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Brian. Right now it's 73 degrees, and we'll be returning to the Rush Limbaugh Show right after this.
If it's important to Wayne County, it's important to you. And for over 30 years, WGBR's Bill Justice has kept you informed on the news of Wayne County. Hi, it's Larry King. Join Bill each weekday morning for the latest local news, and then weekday afternoons join me for the Larry King Show. For over 15 years, we've talked about the important issues and covered the hottest topics, and you're invited to join us. We keep Wayne County informed and talking on Goldsboro's very own 1150 WGBR.
Now, more broadcast excellence on 1150 WGBR.
The views expressed by the host on this show, documented to be almost always right 98.1% of the time and climbing. I just got a new opinion audit in. The views expressed by the host on this show are still, though, sometimes not properly understood and therefore slightly disagreed with by some. Don't worry, we'll get them. We're not going away. This show will survive and thrive until all Americans agree with me. Then there'll be nothing left to do, and that's when we'll quit.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America Held Hostage. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Day 121 of the Raw Deal, and it's only 2 days, 2 days till Dan's Bake Sale. As this is the 20th, and the bake sale is the 22nd, 2 days away from now. In Fort Collins, Colorado, I have been doing some interviews with various reporters this morning prior to the commencement of today's excursion into broadcast excellence about why do you think so many people are showing up? What is it about this that's causing such an outpouring of emotion and interest? Why all of a sudden is this? And my answer, of course, was, what do you mean, why all of a sudden? This has been building and going on for a long, long time. You guys just haven't noticed it because we didn't put a press release out on it. We don't put a press release out on it. The press doesn't know it. Whatever happened to reporting? But no, I don't want to be too critical here. But the countdown continues. One of the guys says, "Why Fort Collins? Why are you doing this in Fort Collins?" Because that's where Dan lives. And this is Dan's Bake Sale. So there, we're going to be out there. What time again am I slated? I'm scheduled to be out there anytime between 1 and 2. Is that right? About that time, somewhere near there. And a lot of what we do is going to be dictated by the crowd size and a number of other things. But we do have a little stage presentation to make to Dan. Going to give him his newsletter subscription, his scholarship, if you were after he presents me with the $29.95. Yeah, and you know, we're making an exception. Let me tell you something. Let's see how great a guys we are. We normally don't take personal checks. You have to pay with credit card. We're not requiring that of Dan. And we're gonna give him the subscription even before his check clears. That's what a trusting organization we are. So yes, we're violating several of our rules here because I think he's probably learned his lesson. I have something here. A friend of mine works at a major brokerage and asset management firm in this country. And this firm puts out for its clients what is called an advisory. A lot of firms do this. This is nothing unique. It serves the purposes of advising clients on what the experts at the firm think the future will hold in this area or that area. And at times, these advisories even get political. And they do make comments about economic futures as related to their opinions about current policy and so forth, or policy that an administration may be attempting to implement. So I got this thing, and I was reading it this morning, and I was astounded. I knew some of it, but I was astounded. When I tell you people that this administration is nothing really more than a bunch of 60s radicals who, because of the quirk of fate, because of sheer circumstance and timing, have found themselves in positions of power in the executive branch of our government. They are more than just theoreticians from academia. These are indeed the real socialist utopians of the 60s. They are governed by political correctness. They are governed by distorted opinions of democracy, the democratic process, and what this country's purposes are. And the best way to illustrate this is to simply read to you this little advisory I have, which quotes these people. Gone back and read some of what these people have written and have reprinted it here, or have excerpted things they've said in speeches. Laura DeAndrea Tyson, chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors in the White House, has proposed in her day an elementary economic principle. The fact that there's no relationship between the level of taxes a nation pays and its economic performance. She actually believes that. The chairman of Bill Clinton's Council of Economic Advisors believes that there is no relationship between the level of taxes a nation pays and its economic performance. So raise taxes all you want, it's not going to affect the economy. Lower tax rates, it's not going to affect the economy. She also argues that the free market frenzy in the United States during the past decade demonstrates why we should have collective ownership of firms by groups of workers. Collectivism? Workers owning the firm? Why we should have that? Labor Secretary Robert B. Reich, along the same lines, advocates, among other things, government policies that promote the concept that employers should become citizens of their companies. Employers should become citizens of their companies, and as part of this idea, businesses would, quote, agree to maintain their old workforces intact, even if they closed plants or diversified into new product lines in exchange for federal restructuring assistance. You don't believe me? I'm telling you, these are Robert B. Reich. People who've never held jobs, people who've never owned companies, people who've never managed them, they've never run them. I mean, do I have to illustrate this? Let's say the EIB Network. Let's say that we decide we're through here. And since there is no other show, we're just going out of business. Robert Reich says, no, hold on to your employees, pay them anyway. Our management team would agree to maintain our workforce intact in exchange for federal restructuring assistance. I mean, this is too good to be true. Robert B. Reich says that companies of the future would replace the federal government as dispensers of welfare, health care, daycare, and even Social Security. He also advocates a massive federal worker training program described by the Atlantic Monthly as a field of dreams approach. Quote, if we train ourselves, they will come. I'm telling you, folks, this is worse than even I thought. And I was right on the money when I told you what these people are. These are the second and third level appointees, in some cases department heads. But this is where you find out what Bill Clinton really thinks. This is if you have any doubts remaining that Clinton's a new Democrat. Now, we're going to put these on TV for you. We're going to let you videotape, since we can't copy this and fax it to all the millions who listen and watch. We're going to create what we call Chiron graphics out of this and just let you videotape the TV show so you can have this and show it to other people. He would replace the federal government as dispenser. Businesses would. Replace the federal government as dispensers of welfare, health care, daycare, and even Social Security. Now, you laugh and you think I'm a cynic when I say the motor voter bill is nothing more than a means whereby Democrats can register their number one constituency group at the place they go most, the welfare office. That's what the motor voter bill is all about. It's not about one car, one vote. That's to come later. This is about getting Democrats able to pay directly for the votes that they get from their number one constituency group, the welfare recipient. I'm not kidding. I'm not making it up. Here you have, and if Reich had his way, businesses would take over. Here is Alicia Monell. She's been nominated to be Assistant Secretary at Treasury for Economic Policy. She believes that employer contributions to pension funds should be immediately taxed as income to the individual in whose name the contribution is made. Revenue, she says, should be invested in federal public works and educational projects. Now, to make up for the fact that we haven't been following this enlightened policy in the past, she would confiscate 15% of all current pension fund accumulations. Now, let me go through this. And this brings up, you know what this reminds, wait a minute, I know you're having apoplexy out there. I know you people are having heart attacks. These people have been nominated. We haven't even gotten to Lani Guinier yet. Oh, you know, just looking at Lani Guinier standing there at the podium, I can't say it, but this is worse than I thought. But let's go with this retroactivity thing, because this just reminded me of something. If President Clinton is going to recoup, and this has happened before, the retroactivity, you don't think this is against the law. If they pass a tax increase in April, or let's say September, since April's already happened, and make it retroactive to January, the way they will get the money that you should have paid from January to August, they'll just increase withholding from, say, September to the remainder of the year. So you're withholding, and then you'll get a break. Your withholding will go down, actually, in January of next year, making you think you're getting a tax cut. But that's how they're going to do it. Now, if it's so good to be retroactive, and if these taxes are so important, I have an idea, President Clinton. Why don't you go for this? Why don't you make tax retroactivity effective January 1, 1982? That's when the first of Reagan's phased-in tax cuts occurred. And if that's the real problem, if the tax cuts of the 80s caused all of the malaise that you're trying to fix now, then let's fix it. Let's make your tax plan retroactive to January 1st, 82. Why not? Fix the problem. By gosh, doesn't that make sense? Do that. Now, we gotta have to take a break here, but you people who have pension funds, you had better alert yourselves to the fact that for the most part, pension funds in this country remain the only repositories of cold, hard cash assets. There's no paper in this, some in there, but these things are solvent. These things have not been borrowed against yet, and these things are not sitting there as piles of money with debts that they have to pay somewhere else. And that's why there are a bunch of liberals who want to get hold of your pension fund. Jesse Jackson and Felix Rohatyn here in New York, they want to get hold of your pension funds and take $500 billion. They want, I mean, it's a lot of money. It's a tremendous amount of money in these pension funds. I didn't say million. And they want to rebuild roads and bridges and all these other things that don't need to be rebuilt. They know they can't raise taxes that much. They want to go to your pension funds. Now, they don't want to steal the money. They want to take it, and they want the pension fund administrators to invest in their idea. There is no payback. There is no upside to this. They know that the federal government will come along, should it end up as another SNL situation, and make whole the pension fund contributors. Now, you have to understand that to understand Alicia Manel's idea here with pension funds. So we'll take a break here and continue. Oh, and there are many more pages here right after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
The press tells us AIDS is spreading rapidly and that everyone in America is at risk. And AIDS activists say we must spend billions to find a cure. But are you getting the truth about AIDS? Or the biggest medical lie in history? Now, the American Spectator reveals why the heterosexual AIDS explosion never happened and never will. How gay activists use political pressure to block early efforts to screen the blood supply and slow the spread of the infection. How the billions spent on AIDS threaten research on cancer and heart disease, which kill far more people. The AIDS lobby and its Hollywood allies terrify the liberal news media, but they don't frighten the American spectator. Subscribe now, and they'll rush you their free investigative report on AIDS. Call 800-872-3999. For $29.95, you'll get 12 issues of the American Spectator and their free report, The Truth About AIDS. Call 800-872-3999. Ask for the American Spectator. 800-872-3999.
Would you buy a pair of shoes without trying them on, or a car without driving it? Then why buy a vacuum on blind faith? Hi, I'm David Orrick, maker of the 8-pound Orrick XL Hotel Vac. And if you call the factory, 1-800-989-4200, you can try out my legendary Hotel Vac in your home absolutely free for 15 days with no obligation. The best part is it weighs only 8 pounds, yet it outcleans vacs weighing 40 pounds. For a free brochure, call 1-800-989-4200.
Sometimes when I go to sleep, I want this big house to come to me. Just come out of the sky and drop.
For some, the American dream is just that.
I always dreamed that the house had a yellow door and blue windows and it lived on a little island. And the house was so beautiful.
Because the American dream seems out of reach.
I think a house costs $500 or $600 million. My mom really doesn't have the money to buy a house.
There are houses that are affordable. Homes you can purchase for very little down and for about what you're paying in rent.
The American dream is I like houses and I really want to live in one.
If you'd like more information about how you can afford a home of your own, call the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development at 1-800-767-4HUD or contact a real estate agent and let us help you own a piece of America. Paid for by HUD, an equal housing opportunity seller.
If I grew up in a house, I would love it.
Occasion, you know your family likes to get together. You know it's only right. Good memories last forever. When the workday ends and you're among friends, you'll come back again. Make every day a Caitlin's occasion.
Caitlin's in Cobblestone Place on Spence Avenue. It's been a totally successful sale. The annual spring sale at Scott Motor Company. So successful that it's been extended to May 22nd. The hours you can buy have been extended. The APR is so low. Get details from Scott Motor Company on how much you'll save on a 93 Bonneville, just $18,877.22. Tax and tags extra dealer retained rebate. You'll save thousands. Call. No, go now, because the car you're going to buy is in stock. Selling and servicing fine motor cars since 1922. Scott Motor Company, Highway 70 Bypass East, Goldsboro.
Performing my job with flawless broadcast excellence, this is Rush Limbaugh on WGBR. We're in New York. We're surfing humanity. We are in relentless pursuit of the truth. You must have the courage to face and believe the truth to hear this show and listen to it without having a fit. Rush Limbaugh at 1-800-282-2882. Now, pension funds are no different than any other investment pool. Let's say that you are a teacher. Let's say you're a teacher in California. You have a teacher's retirement fund or a pension fund. And the contributions are made in your name to this fund with every paycheck or every year, how often it's determined. But it's a percentage of your income, and it's there for your retirement. It's your money. Now, they'll call it an employer contribution, but it's your money. The employer pays it. It's actually it's money that you have directed into a fund, and it's a name again. It's a semantic device to say, and the employer contribution will be matched. And so the employer's a good guy. You can direct this. It's your money. And the administrator of the pension fund is like the administrator of any other large sum of money. It's his job to hold on to it. You don't want just a pile of money sitting there that is going to have its value determined by inflation, because you can't control that. So you have people who are experts at investing that money. And these people travel the world looking for places to invest. We're talking huge sums of money. If they can be convinced to buy a shopping center in Hawaii, they do it. If they can be convinced to invest in Singapore Airlines, they do it. If they can, it's all over the money, this world. A lot of it's domestic. Well, there are a lot of people who want their hands on this money. It's a huge pool, like the liberals who say, hey, man, there's a big pot out there. And they are not offering anything other than, they're not offering a return at all. There's no upside, so they're getting the power of government to go get this money. Because they're not, Jesse Jackson is never going to be able to call a meeting with whoever runs the California teachers retirement system and say, hey, I think you should give me X amount of dollars so I can build it. Just see you, Reverend Jackson. Nice to talk to you. You're a great American, da-da-da-da, but sorry, your portfolio doesn't intrigue us. So Jesse needs to go get higher-powered people and so forth. And so here's Alicia Monell. Now, she's been nominated to Assistant Secretary at the Treasury Department for Economic Policy. Here's what she thinks about pension funds. Employer contributions to pension funds should be immediately taxed as income to you, the individual in whose name the contribution is made. The revenue from that immediate tax then should be invested in federal public works and educational projects, welfare, vote-buying schemes for Democrats, socialist enterprises. Let's just call it what it is. Now, we have not been taxing these contributions at the time they're made for the longest time. So how do we make up for this blunder? She says, confiscate 15% of all current pension fund accumulation. So, whatever is in your pension fund account, what this woman wants to do is take 15% of it. That's not a tax, it's a confiscation. You're going to confiscate 15% of whatever your total accumulation is. Well, one of the things of pension funds is that you don't pay tax on it until you retire, until you start drawing it. That's one of the selling points of it. So this woman is up for nomination. Now here's what I did not know this one. Could we have the Shalala update theme? Wait till you hear this. Wait till you hear Donna Shalala's version of Thanksgiving in the way it ought to be taught. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yes, we're doing it the wrong way. We're not teaching Thanksgiving properly. We need to teach Thanksgiving truthfully, the PC way. Here's our Shalala update theme.
Bill says he wants to hire centrists. I say he's telling us some lies. Now some woman named Shalala comes along. She only sees the left side. Shalala got Bill on his knees. Shalala, a real feminazi. Shalala, if you're not PC, better run and hide. She's a chancellor at Wisconsin. She's been a liberal without fail. If there's one thing about the choices that Bill's made, his whole darn cabinet has inhaled Shalala. As left as she can be, Shalala spends her time hugging trees. Shalala, if you're not PC, better run and hide. Oh, Shalala.
Donna Shalala envisions this version of Thanksgiving in the year 2004 in your average kindergarten. The teacher would tell the 4-year-old students a story about how people from Europe came to the United States where the Indians lived. The teacher will say it was just the same as if someone had come into your yard and taken all your toys and told you they weren't yours anymore. The little girl, Shalala said, will feel sad, but she'll be glad to have a day off to play at home and get together with her neighbors. Hi, Rush Limbaugh here. You know, a major university recently surveyed over 600 employers as to why job applicants do not get hired. Number one reason, poor communication skills. People do judge us by the words we use, and Verbal Advantage, a complete audio cassette vocabulary program, will give you the word power you need to communicate with authority and flair. To learn more, call now, 1-800-28-TAPES. That's 800-28-TAPES.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
Good afternoon. At 1:30, it's 74 degrees. I'm Dory Roberts. The annual awards luncheon of the Mental Health Association in Wayne County will be addressed Tuesday by Sheila Singleton. Ms. Singleton is a Raleigh area resident and is a consumer who's been under treatment for clinical depression, which will be the topic of her presentation. The Dutch luncheon will be held at St. Luke United Methodist Church at 1608 East Pine Street. Cost of the luncheon is $4.50, and those who attend may pay at the door or make a reservation. Goldsboro Mayor Hal Plunk has proclaimed May 28th and 29th as Poppy Days. The mayor asks all citizens to pay tribute to those who've made the ultimate sacrifice in the name of freedom by wearing the memorial poppy on May 30th and 31st. In his proclamation, the mayor reminds citizens that the red poppy has been designated as a symbol of sacrifice and the debt owed to those who died in war. The American Legion Auxiliary has pledged to remind America annually of this debt through the distribution of the memorial flower. Good news for peach lovers. North Carolina State University horticulture specialists say North Carolina's peaches are emerging as one of the best crops in a decade. Peach orchards have experienced repeated heavy crop losses due to spring freezes since 1980, but not this year. The peach crop came through untouched by frost damage. Specialists say the biggest challenge this spring is to thin the peaches. That means up to 80% of the peaches will have to be knocked off the tree to avoid having a crop of small peaches. The state's peach growers have harvested 12 million pounds of peaches last year. That was down 65% from the 1991 crop. The Goldsboro Wayne Drug Squad has charged 31-year-old Lisa Michelle Fennell of Daisy Street with felony possession of cocaine. Officers found 2 rocks of crack cocaine on her person in searching her after they had arrested her on an order of arrest for failure to appear. And Wayne County Commissioners will meet in special session at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning to consider changing the time and place of the public hearing previously scheduled for 2 p.m. Monday, June 7th. That hearing is to be held to receive public comments on the requests from New Hope Feeds Incorporated to rezone a portion of their property in Brogden Township from residential agriculture 20 to heavy industry and to zone a portion of their property to heavy industry. Property is located on Pecan Road and is the proposed site of the company's $8 million poultry processing plant. Time for our forecast from the Weather Center.
Well, we'll have autumn-like weather the rest of this week across the region. We'll have more clouds than sun this afternoon. High temperatures 68 to 74 degrees. Chilly tonight, partly cloudy skies, lows 48 to 52. Tomorrow, cooler still with sunshine in the morning. Skies becoming variably cloudy in the afternoon with the chance for a brief shower. Highs only 65 to 70. I'm Brian Orzel in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Brian. Right now it's 74 degrees as we return to the Rush Limbaugh Show on WGBR.
On another day of the Clinton administration. Another day of dubious cabinet appointments. Another day of tax-raising trial balloons. Another day of backtracking and waffling. Fortunately, there is one man who can turn the sour notes sweet. That man is Rush Limbaugh.
I wondered what happened to the Dukakis Band. You have the Dukakis Band handy there? Let's go back. We'll get to your calls here in just a second, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Rush Limbaugh program, the beacon of light and hope for those who feel impugned, laughed at, and otherwise made fun of by others in what is called the mainstream media. Yes, it seems that Democratic bands, this goes on and on and on. As I was saying, we were wondering about Democratic bands. Remember the Dukakis Band as he draw closer to the microphone when they make a speech. This is actually in Boston. Right after we introduced him, come to the podium. The crowd was excited. This is where the presidential candidate strode into the microphone and was preparing to make his remarks, hoping for a huge fanfare finale from the band. And here it was. Now, I'm not making this up, but Donna Shalala actually said that in a speech about Thanksgiving and how we ought to teach 4-year-olds that what happened to Thanksgiving back then was no different than if somebody stole into your yard and took your toys. Now, finally, we come to Lanny Guinier, Guinier is the new nominee to head the Civil Rights Division at the Justice Department. The Wall Street Journal has quoted her on several things. She believes that, quote, in a system shaped by irrational majority prejudice. So all majorities are based upon irrationality and prejudice. Justice Department, the Justice Department, and justice itself may have to be found in, quote, remedial mechanisms that eliminate pure majority rule. She thinks that the law should enforce interest proportionality, since a permanent, hostile, fixed majority will preclude interest satisfaction for disadvantaged minorities on issues of greatest concern. In other words, she wants to just totally strip apart the democratic process. If the majority wins, it's unfair because it's based upon prejudice and irrationality. She also has had really a lot of, I think, insulting things to say about middle and upper class blacks, that they don't count because they don't know what the real black experience is. They don't have the authority to speak for the black population. Now, all these people are either in government or have been appointed to positions and will soon have their nominations either confirmed or denied. Now, it's safe to assume that a lot of this insanity will never see the light of day. I mean, this is what these people think, and it's what they've said in speeches. Hopefully, this will never, most of these things will never, ever become actual policy. The fact remains, though, that's the kind of thing that enables me to tell you what these people are going to do and what they're all about. It's not, again, it's not that I'm a prophet. I just know human nature, and I know ideology. And I know people who believe these kinds of things. I know what else they believe. I know what their guiding principles are. And so it's easy to foretell what they're going to do or what their take on a certain issue is going to be or what their objectives are. Despite what they say. You look at what people do, couple it sometimes with what they say, and then draw your conclusions. That's why it was so simple for me. I am not surprised that Bill Clinton's not a New Democrat. I don't know why anybody else is. It's there for anybody. If I could see it, anybody could. He's a good old-fashioned 60s radical who believes in saying whatever he has to say in order to get elected. And we had a call yesterday that I think pretty well says it. I don't think this president has a grip, too solid or too firm a grip on reality. And I think that stems from the symbolic situations you create as a liberal. I mean, you convince yourself that when you say something, you're solving a problem, that when you've made yourself feel good, you've made others feel good, and you accomplish nothing. That's why I say being liberal is the easiest, most gutless choice you can make. You say yes to everything, and that's all you do. Why, yes, I think he should have thrown that brick through that wall. I think he should have thrown that brick through that window. Absolutely. He has a right to do that. This man's been oppressed all his life. If that's the outpouring of his emotion and the way he feels oppression at the hands of this unjust society, fine. That's liberalism for you. He has a right to. Don't condemn him.